with a very famous lyrics of a very famous song by Michael Jackson. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for living, make a better place for you and for me. The earth is what we all have in common, and there is only one earth. This is the slogan for this year's World's Environment Day. We are seeing what global warming can do to us. We are seeing that a pandemic can wipe out our near and dear ones in a blink of an eye. Still, we are cutting our forests and polluting our oceans, destroying the ecosystem every single day. There are wars going on to acquire more lands, but our big leaders are giving no effort to protect it. Now we need to stand against it. We need to protect our mother nature. World Environment Day is celebrated annually on 5th June and is the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for protection of the environment. First held in 1973, it has been a platform for raising awareness on environmental issues such as marine pollution, overpopulation, global warming, sustainable consumption, and wildlife crime. It is the biggest international day for the environment. This year, it will be hosted by Sweden. Now, I want to invite our principal madam to say a few words and start today's session. Ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Rita and Roy, for your introductory lecture. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. As we all know, that today is 5th June, World Environment Day, and this day is considered as the largest global platform for reaching out the people all over the world. The main objective of this observing this day is basically to spread awareness on how to protect our environment, our natural ecosystem, making our planet sustainable for future generation. Now, on this occasion, we are really fortunate and delighted to receive Dr. Ankita Bhattacharya, Research Associate, SACON, as the speaker of the session on this online platform. Thank you, Dr. Ankita Bhattacharya, Madam, for accepting our invitation and giving your consent to address our students. Thank you once again. Now, as Ritam sir has already given a nice introduction on the objective of celebrating this day, that this year, as you know already, that World Environment Day is the main slogan is only one Earth, and it is set by United Nations. Its focus is to create the environment conducive for peace, harmony, prosperity, and health by saving the nature and life. In one line, that is living sustainably in harmony with nature. This year, as Sir has already mentioned, then Sweden is hosting 50 years of celebration of World Environment Day 2022. The same country where the Global Environment Summit first took place 50 years back. As new technologies are developing, new innovations are done for the betterment of human life, we are in risk of losing our control on managing environmental issues. We have to take responsibilities of protecting the environment to look after the uses of every resource. You can you have to remember that our small action can make a big impact. So students, as you already know that our campus has it's really a green campus. I don't know whether ma'am will give us another day time so that we can invite her to come and visit to our campus. You can see, you will be amazed to see how much greenery is in our present in our campus. You must appreciate that. Now, as really, and we are taking many initiatives, like green initiatives, to protect our environment and to protect the greenery of our campus. As students, you are already aware that we have our medicinal plant garden, which is maintained by Department of Botany. We have production unit for organic compost, like where leaf litters, so many trees are there, and we have there is a, I mean, the heap of litters that are accumulated every day. So utilizing all this, we have opened a production unit for biocompost organic compost production, and this is maintained by Department of Botany. We have recently created a butterfly garden, and which is to be maintained by Department of Zoology of our college. We have solar panels installed on the rooftop of our college, and it's, it's basically a practice of saving energy. We have taken the initiative of green or environment audit this year. This is going to happen in within say within 1 week. We have the mechanism for waste disposal. As you are aware that we want that segregation is to be made at the source, like in each and every laboratory where you are doing your practical classes. We have a different dustbin to say to segregate your waste that you have generated every day out of your practical work. So taking small steps in your action, in every action, that will have a great impact on environment. So without wasting time, I just would like to offer my warm welcome again to Madam Ankita, and really I'm thankful to the management of the college, because they are providing funding, all kinds of support to maintain the greenery of the campus. And I'm really thankful to Sri Sardarmalji Kankaria, who is the president of our Sri SS Jain Sabha. I am thankful to Sri Sohan Ranji Singhvi, who is president of governing body of the college. And I am really thankful to Mr. Lalit Kumar Kankaria, who is secretary of our college. I am thankful to the organizer, the faculty members of the Department of Zoology. I am thankful to Professor Rita and Roy, head, and other faculty members, Orijit and Alice, Professor Dr. Kedarnath Bhattacharya, and other faculty members. I'm really thankful to all other teaching staff of the college who have joined, who have participated in this event. And thanks are also extended to my colleagues, non-teaching staff of this college, who's active. Without their cooperation, it's not possible for us to conduct this program. And above all, I want to thank Professor Binoy Kumar Shah of Department of Commerce, because he is basically involved in the live streaming of our program. Thank you, Professor Binoy Shah, for your cooperation. Thank you once again.
Thank you, madam. Uh, Now I want to introduce with our speaker. It gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Ankita Bhattacharya as our honorable speaker for today's program. Dr. Ankita Bhattacharya is working as a research associate at Selim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History. She has done her PhD from Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, and completed her bachelor and master's degree in zoology from University of Calcutta. Other than her formal introduction, I want to mention that she is a very dear friend of mine from our graduation, birdwatching, and group study days. Again, I am very happy to welcome you, Ankita. It is a great pleasure to have you with us today. Over to you.
Uh, I first would like to thank Principal Madam for inviting me for this talk. And when I'm back in Kolkata, I would definitely like to visit your campus for sure. And and thank you, Ritayan, for those kind words of introduction. Let me just share my screen. Can everybody see the presentation?
No,
No, it
ma'am.
is not visible.
No, it's not visible now.
Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good evening. And first, I want to wish everyone a very happy World Environment Day. And if anyone can guess the name of this flower, they can write it in the chat box. We'll come back to it after the presentation. So, since we have only one Earth, human innate nature for curiosity has led to search what is there in this one Earth of ours. So, this began with huge voyages across the seas to find the edge of the Earth and new lands, and also scaling the high mountains to find another edge of the Earth, the highest tip of the planet, and other new land masses. So, my topic for today is a tiny bit of this innate curiosity within us and this vast nature of search for the unknown. So, I'll be talking about conservation research and sustenance in a Himalayan ecosystem based on my studies and also studies from other people in the Himalayas. So, any ecological study since the beginning was first focused on species centric conservation. That means there were species which were visibly going extinct, and every focus was there to conserve these species. Like Jane Goodall worked on primates, like India began with its tiger conservation, and there was this reintroduction of wolf in Yellowstone National Park, where the entire ecosystem got revived after the introduction of these wolves. However, when we are focusing only on species, somehow we forgot the habitats or the places where these species live. So we are trying to save these species, but if the landmass is not enough for holding these species, then these species will be lost in a more accelerating rate. So that is why in recent times there was a shift from this species centric conservation to an integrated landscape conservation where it incorporated the species, the habitats in which they lived, and also the people living in those landscapes. So, thus, we got to identify the conservation priority areas. We got to know some landscape strategies which can sustain all these biological elements in those landscapes. And any decision in support of these strategies should be made dynamic. That means they can be updated over time. This can be achieved through ecological assessment of these attributes, which should be periodical. India thus has been divided on the basis of these huge distinguished land masses into 10 biogeographic zones and 26 biogeographic provinces. So all these biogeographic zones and provinces have been divided based on the different kinds of habitat they provide. There are deserts, there are mountains, there are islands, there are coastlines, there are Gangetic plains, the Deccan Plateau, and within these huge land masses, there are several subdivisions which again are unique to each other, which got divided into or classified into biogeographic provinces. So, the Indian Himalayan region from west to east has been divided into the western, central, and the eastern Himalayas, based primarily on the geographic location of the mountain ranges and also the different biogeographic elements which are different from all these three ranges. From south to the north, they have been divided into the Shivaliks, that is the lower Himalayas, the middle Himalayas, the greater Himalayas, and the Trans-Himalayas. Now, all these four divisions are basically based on the kinds of vegetation type which is present in all the four zonations, the climate in all the four zonations, and the altitude or height of all these four zonations. So by vegetation type in this map, you can clearly see that from the south till the north, there is a change in vegetation type for in different zones. Like the gray portion, we have the alpine pastures and rock and ice,
Excuse me,
snow and
ma'am. Excuse
yes,
me. Excuse me,
yes.
ma'am. Probably you did not change the slide. We can see yours.
I have which slide you can see, ma'am?
Okay, only one. Only the first slide.
But I have been changing the
You have changed.
slides.
You have changed it, but
I
I
have
can
changed
see.
the slide.
Okay.
স্লাইড চেঞ্জটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে না, মানে প্রেজেন্টিংটা হচ্ছে না হয়তো ঠিকভাবে।
It's not
আমি তো
changing.
চেঞ্জ করছি স্লাইড।
Somehow it's not. Yes, now we can see. Yes, now it's
But
working, ma'am.
no, but in
Yes, now we can see.
now you can see
Yes, yes.
Now we can see the second slide
Second slide.
the boat one, right?
with the picture of a Himalayan peak after the
This
rhododendron
one,
flower.
The
this one.
Tenzing Norge.
Tenzin Norgay.
Yes,
Ha.
that slide we can see. That second
Uh,
slide.
yeah. Now can you see the third one?
No.
So the slide changing is getting delayed or something.
Yes, it is taking some time probably. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. What to do, Ritan?
I think it is with network problem.
Uh, I to have full network.
Right now we can see the third slide.
Yes, now right we can see
The
It is
that.
title
delaying a
slide.
little bit. Please continue
Yeah.
with your talk. So the
Okay.
slide will get changed eventually.
Fine. Okay, I'll just go back a bit. So the topic of today's, so I just mentioned that the topic I'll be presenting on is conservation research and sustenance in Himalayan ecosystem. And then I mentioned that how from species centric conservation, the vision shifted to integrated landscape conservation. Then I told about the biogeographic classification and biogeographic provinces and zones of India. And then I told about the classification of the Himalayan range. And currently I'm in a slide which is showing a map of the different vegetation types of the Indian Himalayan region. So the gray areas are so there are different vegetation types present in the Indian Himalayan region. There are alpine pastures or alpine meadows, which are the grasslands of the high altitudes, where herbaceous vegetation is present. Then there are certain areas which are totally barren or filled with ice. There are water bodies, there are forests, there are savanna and grasslands where mainly the tigers and the rhinos are present. And all these vegetation types are basically based on the climate of the Himalayan, basically based on the climate of the Himalayan region and also the topography of the Himalayan mountain ranges. So the Indian Himalayan region uh, has these kind of distinguished habitats which hold a very unique biodiversity. And the Indian Himalayan region thus is a natural conservation site for all these biodiversity elements. To give you an overview of how different landscapes look like, this is the Trans-Himalayan region, which is a rain shadow area where there is no rainfall happens because of its high altitude and the positioning of the mountain ranges, that the monsoons don't reach here. And this mainly has xerophytic vegetation or very less vegetation. It is called a cold desert, that is why. Then we come to certain.
অঙ্কিতা, আমি এক সেকেন্ড একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করছি, প্লিজ
হ্যাঁ,
ডোন্ট মাইন্ড। আমার মনে
নিশ্চয়ই
হয়
নিশ্চয়ই।
যে ভিডিওটা অফ করে যদি শুধু প্রেজেন্টেশনটা থাকে, হয়তো নেটওয়ার্ক ইস্যুর জন্য স্লাইড চেঞ্জিংটা একদম আসছে না।
দাঁড়া।
ওকে,
এবার আসছে?
লেকের একটা ছবি আছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, দ্যাট ওয়াজ দ্য কারেন্ট স্লাইড।
ওকে,
হ্যাঁ। So this is the you can see the Trans-Himalaya slide right now, Rita?
ইয়েস।
Okay, fine. So to give you an overview how the different landscapes of Himalaya look like, this is the Trans-Himalayan region where there is no vegetation, as you can see, and it is called the cold desert because there is no rainfall in this region and only xerophytic vegetation which kind of grows in the deserts of Rajasthan. Those kind of, not the same species, but those kind of vegetation which requires very less water grow over here. Then you can see these transition zones where which is a convergence between like both the Trans-Himalaya and the starting of the greater Himalayan region. So this has attributes of both rain shadow areas as well as the herbaceous vegetation areas. Then we come to the greater Himalaya, which is again an admixture of different habitat types. So as you can see that there are snowy mountains, there are barren areas. In between, there are these alpine grasslands I was talking about, which gives, these green areas, which are herbaceous vegetation, which is naturally produced. And this is what provides the mountain ungulates their nutrition. And also you can see these uh, dark green patches. Those are actually trees but with a stunted growth because of the climate. I will come back to it in my later slides. And then all these vegetation types are above tree line, and then below tree line you have conifer forests, broadleaf forests, and all the different kinds of forests. So this is basically how the profiling of a Himalayan landscape looks like. So all these different types of habitats are generally termed as Himalayan rangelands. Rangelands are those areas which produce vegetation, unique vegetation without any human influence, and which can be utilized both by biodiversity as well as humans for their livelihoods. So the Himalayan rangelands are of biodiversity, which holds a lot of threatened, endemic, rare, elusive, special species in these lands, in these habitats. They are of the land where they hold these kind of villages, which are the summer villages of people living in the lower altitudes. They have homes in these kind of villages in the higher altitudes, and then after spending 6 months they come back down to their houses in the plains. So these villages are also equally important. And the rangelands are also of the people. So in a landscape, or from our earth we cannot just eradicate or forget about people. So there are these people who, most of them belong to indigenous tribes, like tribes who have survived in these harsh conditions. They are used to this harsh conditions since decades. So there are several tribes called, there are Gaddis, there are Changpas, there are Bhotias, there are Vanrajis. Vanrajis are a kind of tribe who are scheduled tribe, and they are also losing their ethnicity because of the loss of natural habitats, because they are so used to the forested habitats. They know only how to utilize forest resources and nothing else. So all the entire Himalaya is about the biodiversity, the land, and the people. So you can call it a mosaic of different habitat types, which supports a unique biodiversity, as well as an economic influx, which helps in improving the livelihood of the people. This economic influx is coming through various ecosystem services. Now, what are ecosystem services? These are the services which are provided by nature itself, so that they can regulate and support the natural processes which is happening in nature, so that nature can sustain itself primarily. After that, they can provision for the survival of biodiversity, including humans, by providing food, fuel, fresh water, medicines, and all. Another aspect is of the cultural services which they give. Like, man cannot live without nature, however more concrete they build around themselves, they cannot just see concrete every day and live. So all these services, ecosystem services, are provided by the natural habitats of our earth. Some examples are these medicinal plants, which the hands are holding over here. I'll come to it in a later slide. What is it? There is livestock grazing or pastoralism, where people rear sheep, goats, in other places, cows, horses, etc., where they get these herbaceous vegetation of the alpines, so that they produce good quality milk and also good quality wool. And also they provide ecotourism opportunities, where people can go for pilgrimage, people can go for trekking, or for general aesthetic uh, values. So now we have established the importance of the Indian Himalayan region, and in order to save these biogeographical elements of the Himalayas, several protected areas have been designated in the entire Himalayan region in the form of wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserve, national parks, conservation reserve. There are Ramsar wetland sites, which are designated protected wetlands to conserve the wetland habitats and the species associated with it. There are two World Heritage Sites in the Himalayas, the Nanda Devi National Park and the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve, and the Valley of Flowers National Park. There are tiger reserves, there are elephant reserves, and the entire Himalaya, on a world perspective, is a biodiversity hotspot, where different kinds of unique biodiversity is found. But apart from these protected areas, the rest of the Himalayas, which are the areas not designated as protected areas, it's not that these areas do not contain unique biodiversity. These areas equally contain unique biodiversity elements. So, as much as it is important to study these protected areas, which are designated uh, areas, it is all the more important to know or to gather knowledge regarding the areas which are outside the protection status. We cannot give each and every area a protection status, but we need to know what uh, biodiversity element it contains over there. So, what are the perks of Himalayan research in India? Why are we studying Himalayan, we are doing research in the Himalayas. Everybody will say we get to see these all these beautiful landscapes. If we are very lucky, we get to see some very charismatic species like the snow leopard. We get to see beautiful peaks, like this is a picture of Nanda Devi East. We get to see all these beautiful things when we are researching for Himalayas. So basically, there is this unique habitat species assemblage in these landscapes. You cannot just tease apart that there are only species over there or only habitats over there. No, there are these habitats which are holding various kinds of species. And due to the recent advances in tools, various tools and techniques, we got to have some very interesting findings, like there are high elevation records of tigers from the Himalayas. There we have got records of dhole, which is the Asiatic wild dog. We have got records of snow leopard from a new landscape of the Himalayas. We got citing records of Colossus Cat uh, in Ladakh, India. So all these recent advances in research tools and techniques got us to know more and more about uh, the species which are hidden in these mountains. This got us all the more curious and resilient to fill the research gap for the entire Himalayan region. So it is not possible to study for the entire Himalayan ranges at one go. You need to study it in bits and pieces, and in those bits and pieces also there are many macro habitats. There are like divisions, smaller divisions, micro divisions, and all holding different kinds of new research things. So, but we need to fill this research gap for the Himalayas so that we get a wholesome approach, so that we can just cope up with the impacts of the global climate change which is happening. We can be a bit more prepared than we today are. But all these beautiful landscapes, beautiful species, beautiful peaks, and everything comes with a lot of limitations. First is accessibility. There are most of the areas are not accessible to humans, and there are many areas which are not accessible to researchers because they are not pro mountain climbers. The second thing is the elusiveness and the rarity of the species which are present there. Sometimes you won't even see the species. In many times you will just cross past it and you won't see the species. Now many of you have seen this picture, but those who haven't seen this picture, there is a snow leopard over here. So see the amount of camouflage and the place where this snow leopard is present. Neither of us can reach there, or if we reach there also, we should have a very, very, very good eye.
অঙ্কিতা,
Yes.
প্রেজেন্টেশনটা একদম অফ আছে। ওকে, পিকচারগুলো কোনোটাই আসছে না। আমি বারবার বিরক্ত করতে চাইনি, বাট মানে ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে মানে হ্যাঁ ওইটা আর কি,
লাস্ট স্লাইড কোনটা দেখেছিস?
ওই ট্রানজিশন জোনের পর থেকে কোনো স্লাইডই আসেনি। তো আরেকবার যদি শুরু থেকে অ্যাটলিস্ট ছবিগুলো মানে তুই বলে নে পুরোটা হয়ে গেলে যদি একবার করতে পারিস তো আমার মনে হয় ভালো হয়, বিকজ স্লাইডগুলো চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে না।
সেটাই তো ভাবছি কেন
তুই
হচ্ছে না।
হ্যাঁ,
দাঁড়া, এইটা ছিল তো?
ইয়েস ইয়েস ইয়েস।
Just tell me whether you can see the next one.
না, চেঞ্জ হয়নি।
ওটার থেকে চেঞ্জ হয়নি আর?
না না না, ওটাই রয়েছে। তো একবার ওই স্নো লেপার্ডের ছবিটাতে একবার ক্লিক করা, আমার মনে হয় এই যে ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল ছবিতে লেফট সাইড থেকে ক্লিক করলে তবে সেটা খুলছে।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ওকে।
তাও মানে অনেক পরে পরে। ওকে,
আপাতত
হ্যাঁ
এটা
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
খুলছে কি?
হ্যাঁ, তুই লেফট সাইড থেকে ক্লিক করে বল, তাহলে দেখা যাচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে,
হ্যাঁ
ইটস ভিজিবল।
হ্যাঁ। So as I said, Its access, there is lesser accessibility, elusive and less rare species, which this is a snow leopard over here. So because of this elusiveness and rarity, there are we cannot apply the conventional sampling methodologies, which is kind of more easier to apply in the plains, because we have the restriction of walking, or or restriction of sighting a particular species. So this creates hindrance in a proper ecological study when we are studying these important Himalayan regions. Now, all species are important for the Himalayas, but why are we studying the mammals? First of all, the carnivores maintain the herbivore population. The herbivores maintain the vegetation composition. Mammals can be easily recognized because of their large body size. They can be heard through their vocalizations. Their signs can be easily identified. They tell us about the visible changes in the environment, which we can tell those things about mammals more clearly because of their body size. Other species also indicate sensitivity to the environment, but through mammals we can understand it a bit more quicker than the smaller species. Some mammals are habitat specialists. That means they live in only one particular habitat. If that habitat is gone, they cannot survive. Other mammals tend to be habitat generalists, like they can survive or expand their niche up to a lot of a broader area. And all of them are subjected to anthropogenic pressures at one point or the other. Rita and Nai, is it okay?
Yes, yes, it's perfectly okay right now.
Okay, okay, okay. So, in the Indian Himalayan region, as I told you, there is a huge variety of species assemblage. So, we get snow leopard, there is blue sheep or bharal, which is not blue, but it looks bluish. It is grayish in color. So, from uh, a distance, when there is snow and all, it gives a bluish tinge. There is Himalayan Thar, which is found from the mid altitudes till the high altitudes. There is this Asiatic black bear. There is red fox, Indian muntjac or barking deer. There is a common leopard, Himalayan godel. So amongst all these species, like the blue sheep or bharal, they are habitat specialists because they can only survive in the alpine grassland regions. The snow leopard is a habitat specialist. They can only survive in the barren or Trans-Himalayan region. Red fox is a generalist species. It has adapted itself, and because of growing, army camps around in these high altitudes, they have kind of have the best of the both worlds. They get food from humans also, and also they can, hunt and have their own fill. Other charismatic species, which mainly you get to see in the high altitudes, are woolly hare, Tibetan wolf, uh, Eurasian lynx, Asiatic ibex, Royal spica. So I'm showing you species from smaller to larger, to utilizing all habitat types, to utilizing specialized habitat types. Species which can be seen very easily, like pica and woolly hare, are seen easily. Species like lynx are very rarely seen. Species like ibex, because of the places they live in, you have to have a lot of experience, or roaming around the mountains to really see in which places they are. We have Tibetan wild axe, or kiang it is called. species called Asiatic wild ass is found in run of Kutch in the deserted areas, but in the mountains we have the Tibetan wild ass. We have Himalayan Marmot, which are really very threatened because humans have tended to come very close to these species, and now they are having. You must have seen in YouTube videos that they are having biscuits from the tourists who are over there. They are slowly shifting from hunting or gathering natural food resources. They are shifting from human given food resources, which is not at all good for wild species. There are Himalayan brown bear, as in this picture you can see, because of this uh, barricade, it is trying to rescue her baby from this barricade. Then there are weasels which live in these small caves and all. There are some very These are some very rare species like uh, the musk deer. The musk pod is sold for millions of rupees for making ether, for making scents, and it this animal is being highly poached, and that is why musk deer is a very 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 rarely sighted animal. Anyone doing research on musk deer have to just have need to know where these species are, otherwise it is very difficult to see. A recent record of takin from Arunachal Pradesh has been got through cameras. This is also a very rare species to be seen. We have the red panda, whose habitat is we are losing its habitat, and that is why these species are again generalists. They need those forests for their survival. And there is this namdafa flying squirrel, whose habitat is also reducing day by day. We have Colossus cat. This is also a very rare cat to be seen. You need to go around the high altitudes in the rocks and crevices to see this cat. Then there is Tibetan gazelle or Goa, from which you get a certain kind of wool, and the people of Ladakh have been involved actively in the conservation of this species because they were rampantly hunted. We have some general species like the yellow-throated marten, and we have markhor, which is a beautiful, mountain ungulate which is found in Kashmir. Look at the horns; it has distinguished horns. So all these different kinds of species. So you know the variety of species. So, beginning a research on Himalayan mammals, you cannot just apply only one methodology for every one of these species. So, how to begin, you know, research for Himalayan mammals? First, you need to divide your areas, okay, according to altitudes and according to habitats. Like this is the Trans-Himalayan zone, which is above 4,000 meters. So this kind of zone will have different kinds of mammals and will require different strategies. Then you will begin. Then you will have these admixture of different habitats. So there is barren land and snow over here. There are these alpine scrubland or these shrubs of alpine grasses. These are the light green areas are the herbaceous vegetation which are seen. This portion is the Krumhold zone, which has trees I was talking about before, trees with stunted growth. So they are trees, but due to the climate and the soil type, they don't grow like huge trees. They have been stunted as a shrub. And then these are alpine grassy slopes. So these are all part of the greater Himalayan habitats. Another part of the greater Himalayan habitats are the subalpine and alpine birch forests. But these are the Bhojpatra trees which you get, from which you can make paper and all. Then below it there are these temperate forests and all. So all these different habitat types, you need to first delineate which habitat type and which altitudinal zone you need to work. First and foremost is this division. Then what comes is, first and foremost, is the literature review. First, you need to know what kind of work has already been done in these places, so that you can either further the work or update work at a certain area that a particular work has been done 10 years before. Now you want to know the change 10 years after. So when you are designing your study, literature review is very important, that you need to know what work has been done. After knowing what work has been done, you visit the area, you have already divided the zones, and you do a pilot survey and a rapid assessment. Pilot survey, so when you're going on a trip, you see in Google, kaha hotel hai, kaha kya hai, and then you decide that, okay, we'll go, what kinds of sightseeing we'll see, and all. Similarly, when you're working on the mountains, you will not get all these intricate information in Google, but you can get it from the software called Google Earth, where you can at least see the topography of the place, that how is it very mountainous, is it a snowy peak, is it like something where you cannot climb. So based on all these things, you need to visit the place and just roam around for some days, okay, what is the place is about, and a rapid assessment, what kind of information you're getting from there. Then there are several methodologies. One is gradient directed transects, where you just select a horizontal path, and then uh, at certain intervals you just take information through vertical paths. Like we are walking on a straight line, and then suddenly you just go up and take information like what kind of habitat is there, what kind of trees are there, what kind of shrubs are there, are we seeing any birds, are we getting any signs of mammals. So all kind of information you just note down, and by this you just complete an entire a big trail, where you will get a lot of because on a straight line in a mountain you will not get any information, you need to climb up. So that is why you just select a horizontal line and then climb up at intervals, taking in all the information. Another thing, when you are in the very high altitudes, you just select a vantage point which is like a topmost point at at a mountain, where you can climb, which has a near 360-degree vision. You sit at the top of the mountain with your binoculars and you observe what mammals are you seeing on this entire 360-degree view for an entire day at different time intervals. Third kind of methodology is trail sampling. So there are several trails around the mountains which are going, some going up, some going straight, some going down. So you just select certain trails, not like repetitive trails, ki you're selecting this trail and the trail beside, not like that. So that these trails are, চারিদিকে ছড়িয়ে থাকবে, and then you go through these trails and collect information, what mammals are you seeing, what signs are you seeing of mammals, what vegetation, what habitat type, and you just collect that information. You can do sign survey, just proper sign survey. If a mammal that cannot be visible or it is nocturnal, so at night you cannot survey in the mountains, in the day you can do just sign survey of this. So this particular sign is of a Himalayan brown bear. Okay, so we found while doing our sign survey. And you can do, which is the most feasible way to find hidden mammals in the Himalayan ranges, is the camera trapping exercise, where you just install this device called camera traps. It has motion sensors, so when an animal moves, it will take a picture of the animal. There are various settings, like the settings you do in your original actual camera, which you take along with you, and accordingly it will take pictures. So placing the camera traps is your duty, is like according to your instincts, that you need to check whether there is a water body around, whether there is a path around which the animal uses. So that is why the pilot survey is very important, so that you can see and observe all these things, and then install your camera traps, leave them for a month, check, take the memory card, give a fresh memory card, leave them for 3 months, 6 months, anything, and it will take pictures. So these are on-field methodologies which you can do. After that, when you are coming back from field, you need to have certain information from the existing maps and remote sensing data, the satellite data which is available. So information like what is the entire topography of the region, the elevation, what is the vegetation type, slope, aspect, ruggedness of the area, what are the climatic elements over there, temperature, precipitation, all these are in the form of maps. What is the vegetation index for each month the vegetation changes. So February, what is it for February, what is it for May, what is it for September? Because of monsoons there are changes, pre-monsoon change, post-monsoon change. All this information you will not get while you are doing your field work, but you will get through spatial remote sensing satellite data. So to give a quick overview, just forget about the details. This, I just want to let you know how a study is designed based on my study. So this was my landscape where I worked at the corner of Uttarakhand. I worked in this entire landscape, but I selected only a portion of particular portion of the valley to study. Then I collected spatial information about this valley, that what are the vegetation types, what is the height, altitude distribution of this valley. Then I applied, before applying methodologies, I divided this valley into grids. Just forget about this, the information on the left side, concentrate on the picture. So why we are putting on grids before, all these can be done in your maps, because we need to know that we are not repeating the same area. So when we are sampling, we are covering a portion of one particular grid, and then we are shifting to the next grid. We know now that we have completed this portion, so we do not get confused that we have not completed a particular area. So this is for our feasibility of sampling, for our ease of sampling, that we are dividing all these areas into grids. And then we apply various field methods. Like I told you, these vantage points, I selected all these points, and then we went there and did our completed our methodological observations. Similarly, we placed camera traps over here, and we completed like this in each grid C. We placed two camera traps, so that we didn't get confused that there is no chance of having 3 camera traps in a one particular grid. So after all these adventurous stuff, then you get to come and do the boring stuff, which is the analysis. And what kind of results do you get from all these studies? You firstly get the historical and current status of the species and the habitats. You can estimate the population, an estimate of the population over there, and you can just compare it with previously known population, or you yourself can give a baseline population, that this is what we have calculated, and from there we can do further surveys and just compare that whether population has increased or decreased. We can get distribution maps of species, where we can see that yes, these species are distributed in these places of this particular area. We can know about what kind of habitats and what kind of resources in those habitats, like what kind of trees, what kind of shrubs, what kind of water bodies, what kind of areas they are preferring, based on which we can find out the amount of how much suitable habitat and how much unsuitable habitat is left. We can also know about the presence of particular species, like never known before that this species is present here. We have also known species which we know that these are present, but we have never confirmed it. So those kind of information we get after doing the camera trap activities or all the field methods. And also we need get to know the activity patterns and the behavioral patterns. What are they feeding on? When are they feeding? When are they sleeping? When are they doing certain activities? Resting, uh, foraging and everything. And what I get excited about is the first and new records of species. Like we got tiger, snow leopard, we got interestingly woolly flying squirrel, dhole, we got Colossus cat, we got otter in the high altitudes, we got rhesus macaque, which are mainly found in the lower altitudes. So all these interesting findings get you really excited to work and go again in the mountains. I will show some pictures of the camera trap images which I've got. This is a Himalayan sirau. This is a common leopard. This is a goral, Himalayan goral. These are two Himalayan Asiatic black bears. Uh, this is near a water body. This is a red fox near the same water body. This is a leopard cat on a trail. This is a yellow-throated marten. This is a musk deer. So musk species like musk deer, which are very difficult to see through a naked eye, can be estimated through with the help of camera trap images. We also got tigers in high altitudes. Leopards, leopard cat, as I've already shown you. There are sambar, red fox, black bear. So all these are from different studies at different places. We also got important pheasant species. These are also threatened species like the Himalayan monal, cheer pheasant, Kokla's pheasant, satire tragopan. All these are, you get information regarding other species as well. Then we have these interesting findings, like I found the first photographic records of snow leopard. Like I found the first photographic records of snow leopard and Himalayan brown bear in the Kinnaur region of Himachal Pradesh. This black bear image was from the same area where we got the Himalayan black bear scat sign, which I showed earlier. And we also get to know about other species as well. Like this is a common blue Apollo, which is found in the higher altitudes. There is a Brahmini moth. We found new habitat records of beautiful rose finch and white-throated tit. There we found records of Himalayan pit viper, Himalayan snowcock. So once you start exploring the Himalayas and like in a robust manner, so মেহনতটা initially করতে হবে. If initially you do all these rigorous field work, no, then only you will get all these information. So as much as we are rejoicing the fact that there are so many unique species in the Himalayan region, but we cannot deny the fact that the more unique species are in a region, the more threatened these species will be. And this is only because of rampant growth in human population, and everybody wants a decent standard of living for which money is required. So these are skulls of blue sheep or bharal, which we had found, which have been poached and hunted and have been placed as a trophy. So what are the threats which are there in this Himalayan ecosystem? First of all is this rapid uncontrolled urbanization. Why? Because of the expansion of human population. Everybody wants a decent livelihood, everybody wants road, everybody wants TV, everybody wants a decent a development in their area where they're living in. In the initial days, the tribes and the indigenous people who lived there, they were happy cultivating, having natural medicines. There was no threat to the environment, and the environment and both the human and environment was sustaining each other. But soon there, with this recent expansion of human population, the want has increased, and that is why all these things are causing threats to the habitats. There is due to the roads there is excessive tourism, and due to tourism there is garbage everywhere. In the recent Kedarnath images also, you will see that there is rampant traffic jam, there is excessive garbage which has been left over there, plastics and all. Again, there is a dependency in the natural resources like logging, lopping, illegal felling of the trees due to the low road construction. There is overgrazing of the livestock, which in turn is causing the wild ungulates, the deer species, to they are not getting the proper grasses which they need to be fed on because of the presence of livestock always over there in these areas. This is a very important threat right now, because everywhere we are seeing in the forest, because of the loss of trees and a lot of open areas, there is a lot of chance for forest fires. There are hydropower projects which are destroying the environment and also the landscapes over there, and or they are changing the course of the waters all. And there is hunting, illegal trade of wildlife, there is poaching. All of this are causing harm to the species in the form of habitat destruction, fragmentation, encroachment, and habitat loss, where the species are changing their activity patterns, they are increasing their ranges, they're expanding their lower altitude species are coming to the higher altitudes, where the dynamics of the within the mammals, the food web structure is getting disturbed because of all these new introductions of species in newer ranges, because of this changing habitat and as well as the changing climate. So as I told you, this is a picture of livestock grazing. This is a picture of livestock grazing. This is a caterpillar fungus, which a caterpillar found in the high altitudes. It goes inside the snow and it turns into a fungus. And this particular thing is called as Cordyceps. It is found in the higher alpine regions, in the snow, and people collect it because they this is exported to China because they think that this has medicinal properties. Now this has become the main livelihood of the mountain people. So this is how they search for these cordyceps, because it is so tiny, it gets camouflaged with the grasses. And after, if they have collected 1 kg, and if it passes through the quality check, then they get around 7 to 8 lakh rupees. But due to over harvestation of these cordyceps, now the growth of the cordyceps has also stopped, because they are being harvested so much, and the habitat is being destroyed because of this. Other threats are, as I told you, there are forest fires. These are snow leopard skins which have been poached. This is an example of lopping of an oak tree. You can see the tree. And so difference between logging and lopping is the trimming of the leaves and the branches. This is logging, which is felling of trees. And because of the recent this Delhi Dehradun road construction, the areas near Rajaji and Corbett tiger reserves are being cleared like this to expand the highway. You can also see pictures of flash floods and landslides like this. This is happening because of the construction of the Char Dham all weather road. And due to this excessive construction happening, you can see what kind of a fragile ecosystem the Himalayas are. And when certain these things are happening, there are excessive rainfall, and then and also because of construction of hydropower projects, you get images like this a major destruction of the habitats inside the Himalayas. So, what we need, not only do we need a biodiversity assessment, but we need a combined effort which includes a participatory approach. Participatory approach means you need to, apart from doing the ecological assessment, you need to implement capacity. That means the forest guards, the local people, anyone and everyone should know about these threats to the environment, threats to the biodiversity, and develop their skills so that in case if a researcher is not present, the local people or the forest staff should be equipped to gather the baseline information, to work on the conservation priority areas, to work on management and regular monitoring of the species of their particular areas. So we do need a combined effort to save our environment. Now, while we are doing all these ecological assessments, many of you will be saying that it is very hard to work in the mountains. It is very difficult to work in the mountains, but there are certain things which you need to follow when you are doing research anywhere, especially in the mountains. First is do your proper background study, know your area, get through books, get through maps, get through uh, Google Earth, see the area in repeated times so that you know what kind of a landscape you will be going to, and have an original research idea for that particular landscape, which will be helping that particular landscape and also the species residing there. You should have a plan A, plan B, and a plan C. Plan A is the original study which your supervisor has told you to do. Plan B is whatever you have been told you cannot execute 100%. So plan B is a little bit এদিক ওদিক করে যেটা তুমি ওখানে গিয়ে করবে, and plan C is a totally different plan if plan A and plan B doesn't work. Prepare to embrace any situation. So when you're in the mountains, you're in a very remote area, you can have any kind of situation. Just be mentally prepared. It is all about your mental ability to deal with situations. Okay, এটা হবেই, মানে you need to think about the worst, then you can only enjoy about the best. ঠিক আছে, তো এটা হবেই. Then accordingly you improvise, you use your presence of mind, and always be a bit cautious. Okay, take rest when required. আমি বেশি ক্লাইম্ব করতে পারি না, ও আমার থেকে তাড়াতাড়ি ক্লাইম্ব করে যায়, চলে যাক ক্লাইম্ব করে, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই। ইউ টেক ইউর ওন টাইম, বিকজ সবার হেলথ একরকম নয়। জাস্ট ট্রাই অ্যান্ড পৌঁছে যা যেখানে পৌঁছাবার on time. Obviously, if you reach at night, you cannot just walk at night, but walk slowly if you need to. Just keep on walking, take rest whenever required. Tell people that you need rest. So just you keep moving on. You just tell people that yes, I'm a slow walker. I will take my own pace. Just do not like match with everyone else. Ke o তাড়াতাড়ি চলে গেল আমাকেও দৌড়ে দৌড়ে চলে যেতে হবে. No, never do that in a mountain. Follow as well as fight the inner instincts. That means your instincts are the only things which will work in the mountains. So sometimes you will get good instincts that if you follow, you will achieve something. Sometimes there are instincts that আর পারছি না, আর করতে পারবো না, হয়ে গেছে, এবার আমি ফিরে চলে যাই, হবে না. So there are some things you need to follow and some things you need to fight. নেই না, করতে হবে. Now, this is an important story, passion versus money. If you need to work on the field of wildlife biology, always remember your passion should be more than your chahat for money. This is because if you want money, you can do all kinds of jobs, but if you start having like প্রথম থেকেই যদি এটা ভেবে আসি যে এই লাইনে ঢুকছি তাহলে পরে আমি কি কামাবো, তাহলে কিন্তু এই লাইনে ঢোকার কোনো মানে নেই. It is the passion which will help both the environment and you. নো প্লেজারিজম অর ফোর্জিং অফ ডেটা, নকল করা বা বসে বসে আমি ডেটা বানিয়ে নিচ্ছি, কেউ তো দেখছে না, আমি তো পাহাড়ের ওপর আছি, আমার সুপারভাইজার তো আসছে না এখানে, না, ডোন্ট ডু ইট, বিকজ ইট উইল বি কট. Plagiarized data or forging of data is always caught. There is no escape from it. And কেনই বা করবে তোমরা সেটা? Be kind to the people, the local people, and respect their culture. Don't be rude to them, because they, believe me, they will be the only ones who will help you, who will guide you, who will be, your biggest supporters when you are in field. Avoid unethical means of recording species. That means ক্যামেরা নিয়ে যাও, ছবি তোলো, রেকর্ড শটস তোলো, কিন্তু একটা স্পিসিজের হ্যাবিটেটে ঢুকে তার ব্রিডিং এর ছবি তুলছি, তার নেস্টের মধ্যে ক্যামেরা ঢুকিয়ে দিচ্ছি, কল বাজিয়ে বাজিয়ে তাকে ডিস্টার্ব করছি. ডু নট ডু অল দিস unethical means just to record a species. That is not conservation at all. তোমার ছবি তোলার থাকলে তুমি রেকর্ড ছবি তোলো, হ্যাবিটেট শট তোলো, যা খুশি তোলো, বাট avoid using these unethical means of recording. And যার সাথেই দেখা হচ্ছে, স্প্রেড অ্যাওয়ারনেস অ্যাট এভরি অপরচুনিটি. যার সাথে দেখা হবে, যেই তোমার সাথে কথা বলবে, যার বাড়িতে তুমি থাকবে, ফরেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট হোক, যার সাথেই তুমি কথা বলবে, ট্রাই অ্যান্ড স্প্রেড অ্যাওয়ারনেস অ্যাজ মাচ অ্যাজ পসিবল রিগার্ডিং ইয়োর এনভায়রনমেন্ট. And most importantly, do not give up. Now, Ritan has told me to tell something about the being a women researcher in this field. So I don't have slides to show that, but I will just say follow the things which I have already mentioned in the previous slide. But the thing is, as a woman, পাহাড়ে কাজ করা, আমি বলবো প্লেন্সের থেকে কাজ করার থেকে অনেক সেফ, বিকজ পাহাড়ে এত বেশি ক্রাইমস হয় না. কারণ they somehow they have this fear of god or something like that. They are very nice people. So in our team, when I was working, all 5 of us were women. In uh, all the Himalayan projects which were going on at that time in WII, 90% of them working in the high altitudes were women. So don't think that you cannot. It's the same for both men and women. Men also, there are many men who cannot climb, there are many women who cannot climb, but যেমন ছেলেরা গিভ আপ করে না, তেমন মেয়েরাও গিভ আপ করে না. আর কোনো কোনো সময় ছেলেরাও নিচে চলে আসে, মেয়েরা চলে যায়, বা মেয়েরা নিচে চলে আসে, ছেলেরা চলে যায়. সেটা ইট ইজ ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল পার্সোনালিটি, তার সাথে জেন্ডারের কোনো সম্পর্ক নেই. সো জাস্ট রিমেম্বার, বি আ বিট কশিয়াস, চুজ your field assistant যে তোমাকে ফিল্ডে অ্যাসিস্ট করবে very cautiously, very wisely, because that person, if you get a good field assistant, then nothing more than that. And talk to everyone over, and have good relations with everyone. Don't be rude or don't be over friendly also. But just there are women working in the wildlife sector in each and every ওই 10টা বায়োজিওগ্রাফিক জোন দেখালাম প্রথমে, সব বায়োজিওগ্রাফিক জোনে womenরা কাজ করে. There are stalwarts of women who have achieved, they do species specific conservation or landscape level conservation abroad in India. So I don't think being a wildlifer means anything gender specific. হ্যাঁ, অনেক জায়গায় প্রশ্ন থাকে যে অনেকেই বলবে যে আপনি তো মেয়ে, আপনি যেতে পারবেন না. দেন ইউ নিড টু, সেটা অফিসেও হয়, সেটা মানে নট পার্টিকুলারলি খালি জঙ্গল বা পাহাড়েই হয়, সেটা অফিসেও হয়. সো ইউ নিড টু আনসার, যেরকম অফিসে জবাব দেবে সেমনি ওখানেও জবাব দিতে হবে. দ্যাট ইজ ফাইটিং ইউর ওন ব্যাটলস. So yeah, you need to live in conditions like this, okay. But ওই আর কি, এইরকম ভিউ দেখতে গেলে তো এরকম কন্ডিশনসে মানে একটু কষ্ট করে আসতেই হবে, তাহলে নইলে তো এরকম ভিউ দেখা যাবে না. So the way forward is that we need to keep the data flow going on. For that we need যত তুমি অ্যাওয়ারনেস স্প্রেড করবে, যত তুমি ক্যাপাসিটি বিল্ড করবে, তত তোমার ডেটা ফ্লো, a continuous data flow আসবে. The data flow is required, it shouldn't stop. Every year, every season, this data flow should be there. That is the biggest hindrance or drawback for the Himalayan research right now. Okay, officials get changed, some people don't have the equal enthusiasm, some people have the equal enthusiasm, but it is the work of a researcher that through their research they should inform as well as keep the data flow updated. Updated maps, the maps which are made 10 years ago, the maps which will be made 10 years further will be hugely different. So because of the improvement in modern tools and techniques, so use, learn about them, update yourself, and keep on updating the spatial data, because ultimately visualization through a map is the best way to make anyone understand what is happening where. Then intensive survey methods are required. For this, we need more people. And by more people, when we will get these more people? When we train them. So first train yourself, then train people, and do intensive survey methods, not opor opor দিয়ে একদম ভেতরে গভীরে ঢুকে গিয়ে তারপর use of radio telemetry, which is collaring, যেটা দিয়ে স্পিসিস কোথায় কোথায় যাচ্ছে, কি খাচ্ছে, সবকিছু through satellite data আমাদের কাছে individual species কোথায় যাচ্ছে, which is a very important tool about studying the behavior of a particular species, especially যেগুলো high altitudes এ থাকে, তারা how far they are migrating, where they are their dens are, where they are staying, everything is. And apart from that, যেখানে যেখানে camera trapping possible, rampant camera trapping people should do when they are doing Himalayan research, and obviously use more advanced tools and techniques. With this, we need to integrate the social dependency and livelihood. Like when you are doing like going for help, to ask for help for a person, তাকে তো কিছু একটা ইনসেন্টিভ দিতে হবে না, সে কেন হেল্প করবে, সে গরিব মানুষ, তার তো কিছু একটা লাগবে, তারও কিছু একটা ফায়দা হওয়া উচিত. সো through your conservation, you should always in your conservation plan include the improvement of livelihood in these people. And we need to save these ecosystem services under these ongoing climatic changes, so that ultimately নইলে লস আমাদেরই হবে. So with this, I would like to acknowledge Principal Madam and HOD of the Zoology Department of THK Jain College, my research institutes where I have worked, the funding agencies who have given money for my research, the state forest departments for all their permissions, and the help which they provided, my working groups, my teams, my field assistants, family, friends, volunteers, the local people with whom I have stayed, and I would give the photo credits to these people. And thank you so much for being a patient listener. I'm sorry that the previous slides didn't get showed, but I will share the presentation with Ritan, so that you can just go back to the previous slides which were not visible to you all. So thank you so much. Ritan, over to you.
Rikayan? Rikayan, are you there?
ম্যাম মনে হয় রিতান্দার কোনো প্রবলেম হচ্ছে ইয়েতে
Netted.
কানেক্টে. আচ্ছা, anyways, thank you ma'am, thank you Dr. Bhattacharya for such an informative session. Now I would like to ask the students if they have any questions for Dr. Bhattacharya. If they want anything to ask Dr. Bhattacharya, they can ask. তোদের কারো যদি কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে তোরা জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারিস ম্যামকে.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
First of all, great presentation. I have learned so many things from you. I will definitely try to keep every words of yours in my mind for my future works.
Thank you.
And my question is, how does the camera trapping work? Like how this device understand the existence of the animals?
So as I told you, so camera trap has motion sensor. That means when an animal moves, it will detect it. So the camera trap has a sensor that detects movement. Okay. So when an animal, so animal is not still, na. If it comes near the camera trap, so we are placing the camera traps, imagining the height of an animal. So suppose you imagine a dog. Okay. So we are just placing the camera traps near till the height of a dog, and other animals like টাইগারের হাইটে আমরা ওই গাছটার সাথে বেঁধে দিলাম, and now when a tiger is passing through that path or just standing or moving its head in front of the camera trap, the camera will detect the motion and then take a picture of the camera of the animal. In the daytime it will just take the picture. At night it will like flash, which is a very like খুব কম সেকেন্ডের জন্যই ফ্ল্যাশটা মারে যাতে অ্যানিমালসরা মানে স্টার্টল না হয়ে যায়, বাট ফ্ল্যাশ লাইটের সাহায্যে দ্য পিকচার ইজ টেকেন।
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ।
কারো যদি আর কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে একটু জিজ্ঞেস করতে
আর কারো
পারেন।
যদি কোশ্চেন থাকে তোরা জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারিস।
You can write in the chat box also if you are not able to speak or something. You can write your questions in the chat box.
Anyway, Ankita, it was a great presentation and it was a great talk session. But আমার মনে
Thank
হয়
you,
আমরা
sir.
খুব ডিপ্রাইভড থাকলাম এই জায়গাটাতে, যে প্রথম কয়েকটা স্লাইড আমরা দেখতে পাইনি, তো ওইটা মানে আমি ওদের সাথে পরে হয়তো শেয়ার করতে চাইবো।
হ্যাঁ, আমি মেল করে দেব
ওকে ওকে ওকে,
প্রেজেন্টেশনটা, তো you can share with all the students.
থ্যাংক ইউ থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you
Now-
so much.
Now I want to ask Professor Arijit Dash to give vote of thanks and conclude our program.
Hello. So on behalf of Department of Zoology, I would like to thank Dr. Bhattacharya for such an interesting session. It is not only informative but also a guiding session for our students who are willing to pursue their career in the wildlife studies. We are very honored to have you with us today, ma'am. I would also like to thank our honorable principal, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity to arrange this session. I would like to thank our honorable head of the department, Professor Ritan Roy, for arranging this informative session. I would like to give my special thanks to Professor Vinay Shah, who gave us his precious time on Sunday to make this session live in YouTube so that our students can refer them in future. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all my co-workers for cooperating and help each other throughout the process. Now, with the permission from our principal ma'am and HOD sir, I would like to end this session. Thank you for all for being such good listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you, Ankita madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
presentation.
much.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.